They were the last 3 years. But I haven't worn it for 3 years.
Oh, yeah, so. Now my clothes are just, well, no, but I.
I'm early today. I know. Give me a hard time.
I never do that. Yeah, I said it.
Yes, right.
I mean, you can't totally reschedule the whole cruise and shine. Yeah, but your what is my spot?
I bought my case of water.
Good evening, and welcome to the regular City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, and it is 7 p.m. Regular meetings are generally held on the first and third Tuesday of each month in City Council chambers here at City Hall. City Clerk Assistant, please call roll.
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Genoway?
Here.
Councilmember Johns?
Here.
Councilmember Winstead?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Otto?
Here?
And Mayor Jennings.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Pastor Jim Slizer from the Laguna Niguel Presbyterian Church to provide this evening's invocation, followed by Scout Troops 700, 872, and 772. All rise, please.
God, we gather this evening to do the work of the city, to be good stewards of all that has been entrusted into the care of our elected officials, our paid leaders and staff, countless volunteers, all the men and women who serve our city so faithfully. Particularly this evening, we are mindful of and thankful for the tireless and faithful work of our first responders, those men and women serving as police, firefighters, and paramedics. We thank you for their dedication and their service. We also gather to recognize and to celebrate accomplishments and contributions to the overall life of our community. May this be a time of joyous recognition. Lord God, be in our conversations, our deliberations, our celebrations and decisions this evening, we pray. Amen.
Color guard, attention. Audience, please remain standing for the colors. Those in uniform, please salute. Those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, present colors. Now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. 2. Audience, you're welcome to take a seat.
Thank you very much. We will come and join you. Thank you so much for joining us today in the Pledge of Allegiance. I think I forgot to mention that part, that you guys are leading us in the pledge. So welcome. We're so happy you're here at the city. Would you please introduce yourself? Give us your name and what grade you're in and what troop you're in. Tell us that too.
My name is Philip. What?
What troop are you in?
700.
And what grade are you in?
6.
My name is Alan Alves. I'm from Troop 772, and I'm a sophomore in college now.
My name is Ethan Doe. I'm from Troop 700, and I'm a senior at Aliso Niguel High School.
My name is Derek Neff. I'm from Troop 872, and I'm a junior at San Juan Hills High School.
My name is Magic Champion. I'm from Troop 700, and I'm an 8th grader at Don Juan Oliva Middle School.
My name is Ria Nirke. I'm in Troop 700, and I'm in 7th grade at Don Juan Avila Middle School.
My name is James Hugans, and I'm a 6th grader in Don Juan Avila Middle School.
Thank you. Okay, if you don't mind, we're going to take a picture or a few. Oh, troop leaders, would you like to come and introduce yourselves? Okay. Come on down for a picture at least.
Thank you.
Please hold. Please hold. Thank you.
Color guard, regroup. Color guard, dismissed.
So this evening we have 3 presentations. 2 will be in the well, and then 1 will go back up to the dais. But this evening we have an Eagle Scout here that we get to honor, and I would like Councilmember Genoway to give you the certificate and read the proclamation to you because he's an Eagle Scout as well. So I thought from one Eagle Scout to another.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mayor Jennings. And yeah, Alan, we held you back from the group because you deserve some special recognition for everything you've done to achieve this high rank of Eagle Scout. Welcome to the Eagle's Nest. You have lived in Laguna Niguel your whole life. You've met and worked with many Laguna Niguel City Council members, past and present. You've volunteered at flag ceremonies and city events. I even had the privilege of working with Alan and his father Michael, who back there videotaping in the Niguel Botanical Preserve in the Trail to Eagle section to help beautify that area, that gem of our city. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your Eagle Scout project?
Yeah, so if you haven't been there at the Niguel Botanical Preserve, there's a Trail to Eagle that shows the progression of scouting from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts. And at each different rank, there's a different project. So for mine, I did the Eagle project at the top. My project consisted of using Trex decking as a baseboard, and then I used aluminum that was powder coated and cut to basically show the Eagle badge and to resemble the Eagle Award.
All right, so if you haven't been to the Niguel Botanical Preserve, take a look at the Trail to Eagle that was established in 2001 through the vision of Dennis Mulvaney and Jerry McCloskey, and that was the area where I had my Eagle Scout project as well, so I visit that area often. But make sure you go and visit the Trail to Eagle in the Niguel Botanical Preserve. Alan is currently a sophomore at the University of Oregon, and I know you are representing your family, your troop, and this city well. It takes a lot to earn this high achievement, 21 merit badges, an Eagle Scout project that not only helps beautify our city, but it teaches young men and women the skills of management and budgeting and leadership. And congratulations, welcome to the Eagle's Nest. There you go. Yeah, why don't we bring the parents down as well? You deserve this just as much as Alan. And the sister. Come on down. Come on down, grandparents.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Very, very kind of you.
All right, thank you so much.
Congratulations again. You did a wonderful job, and we are so proud of Troop 772. So thank you for being here tonight, and good luck this year in your sophomore year. We wish you the best. Our second presentation this evening is the Laguna Niguel's proclamation, Laguna Niguel Cares proclamation, which is being presented to the Laguna Niguel Women's Club for the month of September. So, ladies, come on up. We'd love you all to come and join us.
No, we weren't enough pictures together.
Do you want to do the honors?
We can squeeze. Come on in. We're good. We are. So, the Laguna Niguel Women's Club has been serving the community since 1969, providing a way for women to work together for the common good, transforming shared beliefs and hopes into action. The Laguna Niguel Women's Club is an affiliate of General Federation of Women's Club, an international women's organization that is dedicated to community improvement by enhancing the lives of others through volunteer service. The General Federation of Women's Clubs promotes a National Day of Service, first launched in 2023, that spotlights an area in communities across the nation and around the world to bring about positive change. This year, in 2024, Women's Club National Day of Service focuses on food insecurity and hunger, an issue of vital concern in California, where 1 in 5 Californians face food insecurity on a daily basis and do not know where their next meal will come from. On September 28th, the Laguna Niguel Women's Club, in support of the National Day of Service, will hold a community food drive to support Family Assistance Ministry and to raise public awareness and gather the resources necessary to help those in need. The City of Laguna Niguel is committed to taking steps to combat hunger in every part of our community and to provide fundamental resources to the most vulnerable. We are proud to work and recognize the Laguna Niguel Women's Club for their efforts in educating others about the role and importance of food banks and food care in addressing hunger, and for raising awareness of the need to devote more resources and attention to the issue of hunger in our communities. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that I, Mayor Kelly Jennings, on behalf of the entire Laguna Niguel City Council, do hereby recognize the Laguna Niguel Women's Club for their service to the community and encourage all residents to participate in the Laguna Niguel Women's Club food drive to support Family Assistance Ministry and those in the community that benefit from their services. Former Mayor Genoway, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. You knew I would, huh? Well, thank you, Mayor Jennings, and to the City Council for recognizing the Laguna Niguel Women's Club. This year, we celebrated our 55th anniversary of serving the community. So the members of the Laguna Niguel Women's Club have been here in Laguna Niguel, identifying what the needs are and serving them before there was even a city. And our first project was the creation of a park for the children in Laguna Niguel, and that's La Hermosa Park. So along the years, we've identified the needs and have served where we need to be. So this year, we are working with the General Federation of Women's Clubs, which is our parent organization, and recognizing the National Day of Service on September 28th. You know, there are over 60,000 members of the General Federation of Women's Clubs across our nation. And last year alone, those members contributed over 6 million hours of service to communities in our country. So that's something that we are part of. We are very proud of that. And we invite members of our community to join us in those efforts. So all of you can join us on September 28th by participating in the food drive as we raise public awareness of the food insecurity in our community and also what we can do as community members to help those in need. So September 28th, we have the food drive to benefit Family Assistance Ministries from 10:30 to 12:30, and it will take place at Laguna Niguel Presbyterian Church. So just drive through, meet members of the Women's Club, and bring your food for those in need. Thank you.
Definitely will. Thank you. And I'll repeat that again. 6 million volunteer hours, which is so remarkable. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And our final presentation this evening will be an update from our partners at Working Wardrobes. Joining us this evening is CEO of Working Wardrobes, Bonnie Pomush. So while you come up, we'll go back here and we'll see you.
mayor, council members, gallery, they're still here. Thank you guys for sticking around for a little bit longer. My name is Chris Colley. I'm actually a board member with Working Wardrobes. And my normal day job, which doesn't also include being a parent, I work for a large asset management company called Invesco as a market leader. But the reason I'm here today is actually to introduce our CEO and give a little bit of an update on what's happening at lovely Working Wardrobes. We were actually just talking in the back a little bit. How many nonprofit organizations do you think there are in Orange County? Thinking over or under? 500? 1,000? There's actually over 6,000 nonprofit organizations. So trying to pick one that stands out to you guys is like trying to find a needle in a stack of needles, right? I mean, who do you spend your time with? Who stands out to you? Who do you remember? And so one of the reasons we're here is to be able to give a little bit of that ringing endorsement for how unique we are as an organization. In fact, if you look at the screen behind me, you see a little bit about what's in our name, which is Working Wardrobes. The wardrobing component of this is a huge piece of what people think about because it's actually in our name. What people don't know about the organization is the building blocks that go into workplace readiness. The wardrobing itself, the suits, the power suits that go to the men and women that we help as part of our charity are kind of like the dessert after all the hard work has been done, right? You've got your appetizers, you've got your entrees. The dessert is the wardrobing. We're trying to find a way to be able to show the changes that have taken place on the inside, on the outside. And so that's ultimately how it stands out. As you can see, each one of our clients goes through and finishes with the wardrobing experience, but what you don't get a chance to see is behind the suit. The work that we're doing on everything from resume preparedness to helping people that are underemployed prepare for their next big job that's associated with bits of education. And then the stuff that we see behind the scenes that's so vital to these individuals is providing someone that actually believes in them. It's amazing how you put people in a position to be successful and you say, I believe in you, and here's the tools and resources to be successful. Watch how far they go. It's amazing. I think one of my favorite quotes, and I think it's actually in the presentation, so I'm going to steal it from you, Bonnie, sorry, is Maya Angelou's. People will forget what you've said. People will forget what you've done, but they'll never forget how you've made them feel. And so you spend the time on the right things. You give them actual resources to be able to assist them. This idea, this concept of a hand up versus a hand out is core to our belief system. And you watch the results that come behind it. You see these transformations that take place over time. And it's something that's kept me on the board for the last 4 years and hopefully several years afterwards. I'd like to actually introduce our CEO, Bonnie Pomish, to give us a little bit more about what our organization stands for, how we do what we do, and hopefully you guys will be able to pick a single needle in the stack of needles, for your future charity thoughts. So appreciate you having me. Bonnie, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Chris. I think this is such a beautiful embodiment of we don't do this work alone. At Working Wardrobes, we partner with over 185 other organizations and agencies, service providers to deliver our mission because we do what we do really well, and we partner with other organizations that do what they do really well. In fact, last year, we broke a record in Working Wardrobes history, and that is we reached over 5,579 lives in 1 year. I'm not just telling you good stuff. Other people say we're pretty good at what we do too. The Orange County Register's readership has voted us the best charitable organization several years in a row. We've been a top-rated workplace in Southern California, nationally as a veteran employment services provider, and locally, again, just recently by the Orange County Business Journal as a best place to work. Collectively, since 1990, when we began providing services in Orange County, we have now transformed over 125,000 lives. That's men, women, youth, adults, seniors, veterans, people who have been involved in the justice system. And what they all have in common, besides the high cost of living here, is overcoming some sort of barrier. An example of a barrier might be suffering from mental health issues, might be experiencing housing insecurity, food insecurity. It could be managing that transition from the military to the civilian workforce, can be entering or re-entering the workforce over age 55. All of these are solutions to our communal and individual concerns. Working Wardrobes, or workforce development in general, is addressing this laundry list of things that we all care deeply about addressing: food security, justice reform, public safety, all human issues. And when a person becomes gainfully employed, that matters to every single one of us. That one person making the switch from or choices. Do I pay for my utility or my rent, my medical bill or my grocery bill, to both and solutions, both and choices? This means that our collective community thrives as the individuals within it thrive. Our approach, as Chris shared, is also one of sustenance, of self-sustaining success. This quote about, teaching a man to fish, right? I think we're all familiar with it, and that's exactly what we do at Working Wardrobes every day. So how do we do it? We do it on a very individualized basis because we know that no two people are the same. No two people come with the same experience, the same barriers, the same desired outcomes. And so we start with an individualized employment plan, and we create sort of two tracks. One is a navigation track. We never talk about case management at Working Wardrobes. We don't manage cases. We help people navigate their careers, and we are co-pilot on their journey. We navigate with them and are their coach and supporter, but we also develop them. And when I think about development, I think that's the intellectual property we take with us. Everything we've learned, we transfer those skills across occupations, across industries. So a little bit of a roadmap of what this looks like. And I just want to point out before I go into the roadmap how small of a part that you probably know best is, and that's that finishing touch. That wardrobing service we provide is only 15%, 15% of what we do. When a client comes to Working Wardrobes, we first figure out where are they at? What are you coming to the table with? And then we figure out where are you headed? Just like my GPS, coordinates, starting here, going there. Sometimes that's a discovery process. So we'll do career assessments and a discovery of maybe exploring different careers and potential goals. Once we identify what the goals are, we create that individualized plan, and then we start working on what are your assets that we can brag about already in your resume. And we start preparing, of course, for that job search, not just targeting employers. An example, if you have a felony conviction, you need to target your job search to places and jobs that will hire you, right? So we work on not just the job search strategies, but also how to talk about and prepare for that interview. We all have tough questions that we answer on a daily basis, but when you are facing a significant number of barriers, that can be so intimidating that to be prepared for that moment absolutely requires the verbs and the words and the way to describe it, but it also requires something on the inside, confidence, that esteem that I can do it, I am worthy of it, and I'm capable of it. And part of how we build that up in our clients is through what we call a success suit. It's a personalized wardrobing experience where a client really comes out of their shell and sees themselves in the mirror for the first time in a very different way. And finally, we have on staff, her title is job developer. I really think about her as matchmaker. She matches our clients with potential jobs, and that's her entire job. Sometimes it's an apprenticeship program, a college education program, while a get well job is helping a person get traction, and then we're working toward the ultimate career goal. All of this is a great roadmap, Bonnie, but what makes Working Wardrobes that needle in a haystack? Or in a stack of needles? Well, this gentleman, a former client of ours, said it really well. And that is that Working Wardrobes approaches people in a really dignified way. He said, our human touch and acceptance was a healing balm to his innermost hurts. It matters deeply how we treat each other and the dignity with which we treat each and every one of the over 5,000 people we reach is something quite remarkable about this organization. So what do you want to do with this information? Laguna Niguel, you are a city that cares deeply. And so I want to make sure you know how you can help your fellow person on their employment journey. First of all, come see the mission in action. Come for a tour. or recommend that someone you know needs to see this, come. That may not be, it may be, but it may not be a prospective client. It might be someone that you think would be a great coach or a great trainer, a great employee, a great donor, a great clothing partner, whatever it is. Come join me for a tour on the third Thursdays of every month, this week included, at 4 p.m., and you too can see for yourself what happens behind the success suits. Secondly, we all have really unique ways of contributing to the world. It might be that you have a training that you do for your staff every year on excellent customer service or great sales techniques, whatever that might be. Offer your training, your certification program to Working Wardrobes. You might have an excess of beautiful clothing that we can use to wardrobe our clients. Please drop it off at our donation center in Irvine, or have a drive and at your, community or your neighborhood, of course, in an office building, do a collection. Volunteering with us is really easy. It can be on a one-time, one-off basis or on a regular basis. It depends on what way you want to share your unique skills and contributions in the world. We also always need more funding to serve more people. In fact, that is our largest challenge this year, is that there are more people that need services than we have funding to provide. I share with you this slide because I think it's also a good question to ask, which is, well, what are your funding sources? So we have a beautiful sustainability stool. The three legs of it are: one, contracted services. We call that client services. We work as a vendor on behalf of the federal government, the state government, the cities to provide these workforce development services. And that is the client services part of our funding. The other is, as you would expect, all nonprofits, right, do fundraising from individuals and corporations. And those are great ways to live your values as a sponsor or as an individual making contributions. And the third way we fund our mission is through social enterprise. Social enterprise is a business that is not created to build a profit, but to build an impact. So our social enterprise is funding the services we provide to clients, and it is called The Hanger. The Hanger. We have 3 retail stores where you can buy gently loved, beautiful clothes that will kind of blow your mind. Our boutique is right here in Laguna Niguel off of Greenfield and the 73, and it is an extraordinary store where you will also receive personalized styling in outfits that you will get quite the bargain on. Stay in touch with us, and this is my last invitation. Don't let this moment get away from you after we leave this council meeting, but sign up to get our newsletter. It only comes out every 2 weeks. You won't get spammed to death. But it's a great opportunity to learn about the different events and opportunities we have to engage as community members in helping people learn to fish and have a sustainable way of being gainfully employed and part of our communities. Council members, staff, community, I would love to answer any questions you have that I haven't answered yet.
Anybody have questions? Okay, I don't think so. Bonnie, thank you so much. It's always a treasure to see you. I had the honor of moderating a panel that we were on together, which was wonderful. And it was wonderful to celebrate you with our Laguna Niguel Cares proclamation. So thank you. We are a huge supporter of Working Wardrobes, and thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you all for your service to the community too.
Thank you. Okay, before we move on our agenda, I would like to take the time to formally recognize the period of September 15th through October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month. National Hispanic Heritage Month exists to celebrate and honor the contributions, culture, and influences of Hispanic Americans on our country. In 1989, the President first proclaimed the September through October dates as National Hispanic Heritage Month. In Laguna Niguel, we recognize and celebrate the many impactful achievements of Hispanic Americans both here in our community and across the region and state. I would also like to recognize this month of September as National Preparedness Month. National Preparedness Month exists to encourage and remind Americans to be prepared for disasters or emergencies in their homes, businesses, and communities. It is never too early to be prepared for an emergency or disaster, and we are all so thankful for our emergency responders and disaster emergency workers who help to keep us safe in times of emergency. Tonight, we also recognize the month of September as Hunger Action Month. Hunger Action Month exists to raise awareness about hunger in the United States and inspire action from communities. During Hunger Action Month, we take the opportunity to promote our generous local nonprofits that serve some of our most vulnerable residents through food assistance programs and distribution sites. Additionally, I would like to recognize Constitution Week, which takes place beginning today, September 17th, through September 23rd. Constitution Week exists to commemorate the adoption of the United States Constitution and to promote the study and education about the Constitution while emphasizing the responsibilities of citizens in protecting and defending it. The observance of the first established by the Daughters of American Revolution in 1956 and serves as a time to reflect on the freedoms and rights that the Constitution guarantees. And today we provided a proclamation to the DAR at their event that they held at the Mission today. And lastly, I would also like to proclaim Friday, September 20th, as National POW MIA Recognition Day. National POW MIA Recognition Day is observant each year on the third Friday of September to commemorate the commitment and sacrifices made by our nation's pioneers of war, those who are still missing in action, and their families. Thank you to the activism of families of missing Vietnam War veterans, service members. Our nation established POW MIA Recognition Day in 1979. We extend our gratitude to all U.S. service members from all war eras for their devotion and the protection of our nation's safety and freedoms. And we continue to hope for the return of our nation's POWs and MIAs and encourage the community to remember and honor the heroism of all American prisoners of war and those missing in action. In recognition of National POW MIA Day, the city will be flying the POW flag at City Hall from September 20th through September 30th. Thank you. We will now move on to our public comments. Any person wishing to address the City Council is respectfully asked to complete and present a gold color request to speak form. These forms are available on the counter that is located near the entry door of the council chambers. Please be aware that the time limit will be 3 minutes for each person to speak. This is a time for members of the public to share comments with the City Council. The Brown Act does not allow the City Council to respond to speakers at the meeting. However, City staff will follow up and respond to questions or provide information needed. Speakers will be called in order from the request to speak forms. To allow equal time for speakers, minutes may not be given to another speaker. You may have another person read your written statement. City Clerk Assistant, are there any additional requests to speak forms?
No, Mayor.
Okay, wonderful. Let us call up Martha McNicholas, please.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Jennings. Martha McNicholas, 23 Malibu, a 36-year resident of Laguna Niguel. And my service and work in the community, I have worn many hats. Today I come to you as a representative of the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. I am a 36-year cancer survivor, a 3-time melanoma survivor, and I just had 2 biopsies on my back last Thursday. So this is personal to me. Relay for Life has expanded and contracted. At one time, we hosted it here in Laguna Niguel for about 6 years between 2009 and 2015, very successfully, thanks to your support. American Cancer Society has gone from a lot of little relays to several big ones. There's one in South County, there's one in North County. This Saturday, September 21st, is Relay for Life of South Orange County to be held at Oso Viejo Community Park over near Norman Murray Center. I invite you out to join with us to support cancer, to walk. We actually have a team that's called Laguna Niguel Fights Back that was formed back in those days when we had it here, and in honor of a former city employee, Cheryl Waters. So we've kept the relay going. We have a boutique called the Fight Back Boutique where you can come shop for new and gently used jewelry and accessories. So come out and say hi. There's food, there's entertainment, there's remembrances and celebrations from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Saturday. And hopefully you all got an invitation card. up there. If not, I will leave a few on the back if anybody else is, oh, she's got them for you. So there's an invitation card. You're welcome out there. And thank you for your time. And maybe we'll bring it back to Laguna Niguel sometime. But thank you.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Martha. And all your services. Thank you for all you give back to our city. Next up, Carol Moore, please.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members and staff, and I think a few left of your residents. I'm here actually as your neighbor, a neighboring city of Laguna Woods, and you're probably aware, if you aren't, I want you to be aware that the Department of Motor Vehicles is threatening to close that facility. That would leave about 855,000 South County people with only the two cities nearby, and that would be San Clemente and Santa Ana. The Department of Motor Vehicles actually is not in our city, but it's used very heavily by our community and the surrounding communities, including yours. When I was at a recent city council meeting, and I was discussing this issue, seeking their help, and which they were glad to offer, one of your residents was there. And she commented to me as we were leaving together what had happened to her. She uses the computer every single day. She's familiar with the computer, so she was trying to do what she needed to do to get an appointment. And she said she could not get an appointment. She finally, in a fluster, went to the agency, the one near us, which is extremely crowded. She was able to get in the door. She was there for 2 hours. Accomplish what she needed to, but she could not do it online. You can't do everything online. For example, a certain eye test can't be taken online. Your youth, people who are beginning their driving experience, they can't get their license online, obviously. Real IDs, which people who are no longer driving can't be done online. So there are a lot of reasons. So I'm asking your help. If you, not only you, and any residents that are available, and get the word out to them, please. We had been asking people to write to the governor, to write to Steve Gordon, who is the director of the Department of Motor Vehicles, and to Diane Dixon and Dave Min. But now I think we're down to calling the governor, because actually the governor, apparently it's getting that critical. And his number, if you want to write it down, I hope you will, 916-445-2841. And please get this word out to your neighbors, because your community does use this facility as well as ours. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank to each of you for taking the time to serve your community. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for serving your community. We appreciate it. Okay, we are now, public comments are now closed. We will now move on to our consent calendar. Are there any items to be pulled from consent calendar for questions or discussion by the council? No.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull 7 for comment.
Okay. Any others? Okay. Can I get a motion to move the balance? Okay, motion passes. Item 7, Mayor Pro Tem Otto.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide some positive feedback on this item. This item is about adding green bike lanes around the Chet Holyfield building. I think staff enclosed a map, but if we have one to show the public on the screen, I think the whole council is united and everybody loves these green bike lanes. So I've got nothing but positive feedback from them. You'll see them popping up all over town. This is paid for by Measure M2 money, and we're just making Laguna Niguel's streets safer. So with that, if no one else has any more comments, I'll be happy to move the item.
Thank you. Additional comments? Councilmember Genoway.
Yes, to echo what Mayor Pro Tem Otto said, these green bike lanes are very popular. I have council members in other cities who come into our city and saying, how'd you get that green paint? And I say, I went to Home Depot. No, but it's very popular and the residents love it, so I'm glad that we're expanding those bicycle zones. Thank you.
And thank you, Director Scott, for heading this up because it really is fantastic. You're doing a great job. Okay, we'll make a motion to move. Great, motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much. We will now move on to our public hearing items. Our first public hearing item this evening is the adoption of resolution number 2024-1492, approving a revised administrative fee for vehicle removal, impound, storage, or release by the Orange County Sheriff's Department for Traffic Violator Apprehension Program, also known as TVAP. Assistant City Manager Martin, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This public hearing item is for the approval of revised administrative fees for vehicle removal, impound, storage, or release by the Orange County Sheriff's Department for the Traffic Violator Apprehension Program, also known as TVAP. The Orange County Sheriff's Department has been operating the TVAP program since 2000 in an effort to educate the public on safety issues regarding driver licensing, vehicle registration, vehicle operation, and parking, with the objective to reduce the number of fatal and injury traffic collisions, hit-and-run collisions, and nighttime fatal and injury collisions. The city has been a participant since 2000, including in adopting related fees. While the program was initially grant-funded for a 2-year period, it later transitioned to funding through administrative tow fees collected by the Sheriff's Department. The administrative fees were last updated and adopted by the county in late 2020, and the city subsequently adopted the updated fees in early 2022. After a recent 2024 Orange County Sheriff's Department cost study, the county again adopted updated administrative fees in June of this year. While there was previously a cost differential in the administrative fees to process the removal of a vehicle for unlicensed or suspended license of a driver, as compared with other legal basis to remove a vehicle, the cost differential no longer exists due to advancements in technology for determining licensing status. As such, the Sheriff's Department cost study indicated that the fee should be the same and that the actual administrative cost is $174 as opposed to the previous cost of $144. Staff has prepared resolution number 2024-1492 to update the TVAP fees to reflect current actual administrative costs for these services as adopted by the county. It's important to note that these fees are for individuals violating the law whose vehicle is impounded, so that they may bear the administrative cost instead of the public as a whole. However, victims of an accident or individuals needing towing assistance to an automobile garage will not be assessed this fee. Additionally, it's been determined that the revised TVAP fees are exempt from CEQA. With this, staff recommends that the City Council hold a public hearing and adopt resolution number 2024-1492, approving the revised TVAP administration fees to fully recover the administrative costs for removal, impound, storage, or release of vehicles. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assistant City Manager Martin. Do we have any questions for staff? Okay. We will now open the public hearing and take public comments. City Clerk Assistant, do we have any public comments?
There are none.
Okay, thank you so much. We will now close the public hearing. Is there any further discussion by the council? Any? Okay. May I get a motion to adopt, to approve the staff recommendation? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Our second public hearing item this evening is adoption of Resolution 2024-1493, adopting the electric vehicle charging station policy and establishing related fees and making a finding of exemption under CEQA in connection therewith. Public Works Director, will you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, members of the City Council. Tonight's presentation is the adoption of an electric vehicle charging station policy and establishing related fees. As part of the strategic plan goal number 4, the Smart Cities initiative included the deployment of publicly owned electric vehicle charging stations, also known as EV stations, at city-owned facilities. Once adopted as part of the strategic plan, Public Works obtained multiple grants in order to fund the installation of EV stations at City Hall, Crown Valley Park, the Metrolink station, and Sea Country Senior and Community Center. The installations took place in phases in 2022 and 2023. Concurrently, Public Works initiated an EV station use and fee study. The scope of the study reviewed data for an approximate 1-year period of time, capturing the habits of users, such as times of use, the frequency of use, and the amount of electricity consumed. This study looked at only the EV stations funded through the grant programs and installed at city-owned facilities. The goal of the study was to adopt a fee schedule and use policy to encourage user turnover and recover city costs for electricity. The study did not look at privately owned EV charging stations. However, in partnership with the Community Development Department, the city routinely provides information to business owners to assist in their understanding of how EV charging stations may be installed at their privately owned properties. This outreach information is regularly discussed at coordination meetings organized through Community Development. Joining us this evening is Senior Management Analyst Kelly Everett, the project manager for the EV charging station study. Kelly will be providing a presentation of the study data and walk you through a series of recommendations to adopt as electrical vehicle charging station policy.
Thank you, Director Scott. Good evening, Mayor Jennings and members of the City Council. I'm Kelly Everett, Senior Management Analyst within the Public Works Department. It is an honor to present to you this evening an overview of the electric vehicle charging station policy, study findings and policy recommendations. Currently, there are 3 different levels of electric vehicle charging stations. Level 1 uses alternating electrical current and is typically located at a person's residence and uses a standard electrical outlet. It can take approximately 40 to 50 hours for a standard electric vehicle battery to charge from empty to 80% and adds 2 to 5 miles of range per hour. Level 2 also uses alternating electrical current and is typically found at commercial and municipal locations. This is the level currently available at the city's facilities. It can take approximately 4 to 10 hours for a standard EV battery to charge from empty to 80% and adds approximately 25 to 35 miles of range per hour. Level 3 uses direct electrical current and are often called fast or superchargers. It takes approximately 20 minutes to an hour for a standard EV battery to charge from empty to 80% and adds approximately 180 to 240 miles of range per hour. As a benefit to the City of Laguna Niguel's residents and visitors, the city was successful in obtaining grant funding to procure and install Level 2 dual-port electric vehicle charging stations at 4 city-owned facilities in the spring of 2022 and 2023. There are currently 8 publicly available city-owned EV charging stations, 2 at City Hall, 3 at the Crown Valley Community Center, 1 at Sea Country Senior and Community Center, and 2 at the Laguna Niguel Mission Viejo Metrolink station. It is worth noting that the EV station at the Senior Center and one of the stations at the Community Center are portable solar-powered models. And currently, the city-owned EV charging stations are provided free of cost and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for public use. The city initiated a study with Kimley Horn and Associates to collect and analyze usage and cost data for its EV charging stations for the initial 13 months of service. The study also analyzed pricing strategies of neighboring jurisdictions. The study's final report provided policy recommendations based upon the usage and cost trends analysis. The goal of these policy recommendations is to recover EV charging station costs and for the city, charging station costs for the city and to maximize the public benefit. The key findings from the study include total energy use for the city's EV charging stations was approximately 162,000 kilowatt hours. As a comparison, the average household consumes approximately 12,000 kilowatt hours per year. The highest EV charging station use was seen at City Hall, followed by the Metrolink station. During the 13-month study period, a total of 11,238 charging sessions took place, and an EV charging session begins when a vehicle is plugged into the station and ends when the vehicle is unplugged. The average EV charging session length at the city's EV charging stations was 3 hours and 25 minutes. The average EV battery receives approximately 7 kilowatts per hour from a level 2 charger, which adds between 25 and 35 miles of range per hour. Of that average charging session length of 3 hours and 25 minutes, 2 hours and 15 minutes was spent actively charging the EV battery, and the remaining 35 minutes, the EV battery was fully charged and the vehicle remained plugged into the charging station. The city's facilities are serviced by 2 different electric companies, Southern California Edison, or SCE, and San Diego Gas and Electric, or SDG&E. The per kilowatt hour electricity costs do vary by city facility. The City Hall and Community Center are serviced by SCE at a cost of 20 cents per kilowatt hour, whereas the Metrolink Station and Senior Center are serviced by SDG&E at a cost of 37 cents per kilowatt hour and 48 cents per kilowatt hour, respectively. It is worth noting that the Metrolink Station is classified as a different type of facility by SDG&E, which accounts for the difference in electricity cost relative to the Senior Center. The city's total electricity cost for the EV charging stations over the 13-month study period was approximately $52,000. And when looking at the EV charging station pricing at the neighboring cities, they range from 21 cents per kilowatt hour to 47 cents per kilowatt hour, which most likely is intended to recover that city's electricity costs based upon their electricity provider. After analyzing the EV charging station use and cost trends and the EV charging station pricing of neighboring cities, Kimley Horn provided 7 EV charging station policy recommendations. I will now walk you through each of those policy recommendations. Policy recommendation number 1 considers what type of costs the city should consider recovering with the charging fee it assesses at its EV charging stations, maintenance and operating costs, and/or electricity costs. When analyzing the pricing structures of neighboring jurisdictions, it appears that the majority sought to recover only electricity costs. Therefore, it is recommended that the City of Laguna Niguel seek to recover as much of its electricity costs as possible through the charging fee it assesses at its EV charging stations, and continue to budget the associated maintenance and operating costs in its annual operating budget. The study also recommends the city use an EV charging fee that is an average of the electricity costs per kilowatt hour based upon the EV charging demand at each city facility, where City Hall accounted for over 60%, followed by the Metrolink Station at 28%. By adopting an average charging fee, the city would recover the majority of its electricity costs, and it would make it easier for users and for the city to administer the policy. Therefore, it is recommended that the city establish an average charging fee of 25 cents per kilowatt hour throughout the city at each of its existing EV charging stations. Policy recommendation number 3 considered whether the city should impose an EV charging session time limit with a grace period. Based upon the study's findings, it is recommended that the city impose an EV charging session time limit of 3 hours with a 15-minute grace period for the user to retrieve and move their vehicle, again to encourage user turnover and maximize the public benefit. Policy recommendation number 4 indicates the city should assess an overstay fee of $15 per hour following the 3-hour charging session time limit and 15-minute grace period at all city facilities with the exception of the Metrolink station. The purpose of an overstay fee is to encourage users to retrieve their vehicle once the 3-hour session time limit and 15-minute grace period have passed. This would allow for the EV charging station to be made available to another user in line with the goal of maximizing the public benefit. However, the EV charging stations located at the Metrolink station should be exempt from the overstay fee, as riders of the Metrolink train system typically are beholden to the train schedule and are traveling longer distances, causing them to be away from the area for longer periods of time. Policy recommendation number 5 indicates the city should assess a $10 per hour dwell time fee once an EV's battery is fully charged and allow for a 15-minute grace period at all city facilities with the exception of the Metrolink station. Dwell time is the period of time from when an EV's battery is fully charged to the moment when the EV is unplugged from the charging station. The study determined that of the 3 hours and 25 minutes average charging station session length, 35 minutes of that time the EV battery was fully charged, but the EV remained plugged into the EV charging station. The purpose of a dwell time fee is to encourage users to retrieve their EV once the battery is fully charged and after a 15-minute grace period has passed. This would allow the EV charging station to be made available to another user in line with the goal of maximizing public benefit. However, the EV charging stations located at the Metrolink station should be exempt from the dwell time fee, again as riders of the Metrolink train system typically are beholden to the train schedule and are traveling longer distances, causing them to be away from the area for longer periods of time. Policy recommendation number 6 indicates the city should not collect a charging fee for its use of its portable solar-powered EV stations. However, the city should impose the charging session time limit, impose the overstay fee, and impose the dwell time fee at those locations. The power provided by the portable solar-powered stations is 100% renewable from the solar array on the station and is stored in its self-contained battery for disposal to EVs. Therefore, the city does not incur any electricity costs. However, to maximize public benefit, the EV charging session time limit of 3 hours with a 15-minute grace period, the overstay fee, and the dwell time fee should be imposed on the city's portable solar-powered EV stations. And finally, the study determined that the city's total EV charging station network has not yet reached its demand capacity, and by opposing overstay and dwell time fees, the productivity of the city's EV charging stations is likely to increase. Therefore, it is recommended that the city take a measured approach towards expanding its EV charging station network by monitoring demand and the availability of grant funds. Do note that as part of this city's fiscal year's capital improvement program, the city will soon install a level 3 fast EV charging station at City Hall using the Department of Energy's Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant funding. Additionally, the city continues to await word on an additional grant application that requested funds for additional EV charging stations to be installed at City Hall, the Community Center, and the Senior Center. In summary, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt Resolution 2024-1493, adopting the following EV charging station policy and establishing related fees. Impose a 25 cents per kilowatt hour EV charging fee at all level 2 city-owned EV charging stations, with the exception of the portable solar-powered stations. Impose a 40 cents per kilowatt hour EV charging fee for use of the level 3 city-owned EV charging stations. Assess the charging fee at the city-owned EV charging stations upon the user plugging in their vehicle to the EV charging station. Impose an EV charging session time limit of 3 hours with a 15-minute grace period at all city-owned EV charging stations, with the exception of the Metrolink station. Assess a $15 per hour overstay fee at a rate of 25 cents per minute, following the 3-hour time limit and 15-minute grace period at all city-owned EV charging stations, with the exception of the Metrolink station. Assess a $10 per hour dwell time fee at a rate of approximately 16 cents per minute once an EV's battery is fully charged and following a 15-minute grace period at all city-owned charging stations, with the exception of the Metrolink station. Continue to budget EV charging station maintenance and other operating costs in the city's annual operating budget. And finally, use a measured expansion methodology for the city's EV charging station network based upon user demand and availability of grant funds. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have. We also have a representative from Kimley Horn here this evening to answer any study-related data collection questions you may have.
Great. Thank you so much. Great job. This was a really great presentation. So thank you, Ms. Everett, very much. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Otto.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a few questions, and I think this in general looks really good. I just have a few questions for clarification, and then, based on your questions, maybe one little change, or you can talk me out of it. How do you prevent a customer from, say, when there's two charging stations next to each other, like moving and just hopping to the next station next door? Is there anything we can do about that, or is it just that's the way it is?
The recommended policy does not prevent this situation from happening. However, it does encourage overall user turnover and recovers the cost of electricity for the city. So even if they were to plug into the adjacent charging station, they would still incur the charging fee and any other overstay or dwell time fees that may.
Oh, they would. So in other words, that account would carry over to the next one. It would see that you were at somewhere, and it would charge you those extra fees.
It wouldn't charge the extra fees.
Oh, it won't.
It would count as a separate session.
It will.
So they would be still charged the charging fee, so the 25 cents per kilowatt hour. And
Okay.
if they were to then stay beyond 3 hours and a 15-minute grace period, incur the overstay fee. Or if their EV battery at that point is fully charged, they would incur the dwell time fee.
I understand. Okay, got it. How do you, this might be a question for the manager, but I noticed at City Hall, Community Center, we have a lot of usage here, and I think it's fabulous if our employees are using those EV chargers. How do you balance, from a policy perspective, access for both employees and residents, knowing that employees are typically here? How can we still provide that for residents, and how do you balance that out? Is there, I don't know, maybe the consultant has run into that before?
Something that we talk about with our staff.
Yeah.
It is a balance.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we're providing the charging for the public and for staff, and we understand that, and our staff understands that, and they're very considerate about that. It's also making sure we have the right number in the right locations to address that.
Okay, so it's just an honor system right now? There's no formal policy? Like,
Well,
it's
this
just kind of,
policy would
in other
apply
words,
to
I'm-
the employees in addition to the public. There would be there's no different rates. We can't have a different rate, and we would never do that. But
No,
the
I would never
policy, the
suggest that.
policy is equal across the board.
Okay, yeah, I just wondered if there were a separate policy for employees, and I didn't know
No.
how you
No.
manage that. I just want to make sure that,
It's
city
a
council
constant
meetings, things
conversation.
like that, it's available for residents,
Mhm.
certain events like that. And this might be a question for the consultant, can you tell me a little bit about the characteristics of users who use, say, a public EV charging and a private EV charging, like at a business? Is there different characteristics of type of customer, like where they're going to and from, and how can we analyze like how that looks?
So thank you for the question, Mayor Pro Tem Otto. The scope of this particular study and what we asked the consultant to evaluate was the city-owned portable, or the city-owned stations, and they did not address behaviors at privately owned stations.
Okay, I was just wondering if somebody knew, but okay. I understand. Based on the study, how many stations? So I noticed the community center station was really low. Why would we keep it there if it's really low? Why wouldn't we move it to like a different location? Could that be a possibility?
May I please clarify with you, are you referring to the portable solar powered station or the permanent stations? located at
it's my understanding, I looked at one of the graphs, and it was like 2% usage, and I think was that an average of all the stations, or was that just the solar powered?
So at the community center, there are currently 2 permanent stations along with this portable solar powered for a total of 3 stations.
Okay, so which station had the least amount of use?
So overall, the community.
Just the solar, because we're not going to move. I understand we're not going to like dig up. It's easier to move the solar, I'm guessing. So how much usage, for example, did that solar get? Do we know? Because I just remember seeing some really single digit low numbers, and I didn't know if it was because car owners don't like when something hangs over the top of their car. They might think they're going to get it's going to get damaged. Like, I'm curious, like, was there better usage on the ones that weren't solar powered? You know what I'm
Mayor
saying?
Pro Tem Otto, if I may.
Yeah.
The solar-powered units are portable, as is indicated, so they are movable. We have moved them in the past when use was, better suited somewhere else. We continue to monitor that, and if there is a more suitable location where we anticipate a higher use, we're happy to make those kinds of arrangements. It's not an easy move, and it does cost, so we are take a lot of time and consideration before we make a decision like that to relocate one of the solar-powered units. But we are monitoring that and considering it. I just had a conversation today about where that might be suited next.
Yeah. Okay, great. I appreciate that, because I want to make sure we can figure out where we can maximize the use of these stations. Okay. And I got some questions answered ahead of time and confirmed that we would review the price policy annually. So that's great. So we're going to come back every year and look at the prices, make sure we're still recouping our costs on that, or, swinging with the electricity rates. We are anticipating adding a supercharger to the city. This is the question I have. Why would we keep the charger limit 3 hours when that thing can charge a car between 30 minutes and 1 hour? Why wouldn't we make it 90 minutes for the supercharger? When the fee starts, the overstay fees.
So from an administration standpoint and a user ability, it is for convenience to keep everything the same. As you can imagine, yes, they would charge quicker, and so that 3-hour overstay fee may not necessarily come into play. However, the dwell time fee would, because the EV battery would fill up faster.
Yeah.
And so it would still encourage turnover at that point.
That's true. Yeah, they would start getting charged. Yeah, because I think there's going to be, that's going to be a hot spot right there. I think people are going to love that charger. So when that gets in. Okay, so that's a great point. So you convinced me. Okay, I'm just making sure I got all my questions answered. Bear with me for a second. Mentioned 52,000. Is that per year of energy costs? Was that per year?
So that was during the study period of the
okay.
13 months.
Which was 13 months. Okay. And then how much does it cost to maintain the facilities?
Sure. The current maintenance costs are averaging about $2,000 per year, and that's across all of the stations.
Oh, wow.
Our whole network.
Okay. That's pretty reasonable. Okay. I think I've got all my questions answered. Oh, yeah, sorry. One more question. You have in here under policy recommendation number 6, and I agree. It says the city should not assess a per kilowatt hour charging fee at its portable solar power. And it's my understanding that's because the state won't let us. That's against state law. That's what I just want to clarify that.
So there is a government code
Right.
that indicates that a city must not charge a fee that is greater than the cost that it incurs to provide that particular service. And so in terms of the fact that we are not incurring any electricity costs, since that power is provided 100% renewable from the solar array, we didn't feel it was appropriate to, and in line with that government
Can't
code.
flip over those $2,000 a year in maintenance fees to that? I mean, why wouldn't we try to recoup that there? I was just, that could probably be okay with the code.
The $2,000 is across all of the
Yeah.
totality of the permanent stations and the two portables. So
Mhm.
the vast majority of the charging stations that we are maintaining are the permanent stations.
Okay. All right. Well, that answers all my questions. Thank you so much. I appreciate your report. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions? Councilmember Genoway.
Well, thank you for the presentation, Ms. Everett. This is my second time viewing your presentation. I saw it for the first time at the Traffic and Transportation Commission. You did a great job then, and looking at it a second time, I'm learning even more things every time I look at it again. Can you take me through the process by which somebody hooks up their card to one of these charging stations? Is there an app they use to pay the fee? How does that work?
Sure. All of our stations are ChargePoint stations, and so ChargePoint is the network provider. For a user to be able to utilize our stations, they would need to have an account with that ChargePoint application, and they would initiate the particular charge on the station itself and plug in once they've acknowledged on their account with that particular station. And so that's all of the payment information. Everything is built into that system, and it's handled 100% by ChargePoint, and then the city would receive a check at the end of the period for whatever those costs that they collected were.
When users use these electric vehicle charging stations, is there an app on their phone that they get notifications, or is it via email, or what?
No, that is correct. So the application will notify them as their battery is full. It will also notify them in advance of whatever time limit that the city has instituted for that particular station. So there's no surprises.
Great. That was my next question. If users were going to be notified about the overstay fee and the dwell time. And let's say, if I'm understanding this correctly, let's say somebody hooks their car up and after 2 hours, it's fully charged. They're notified that there will be a dwell time fee of $10 per hour after it's fully charged. And then let's say they continue to leave their car there, it hits the 3-hour mark. Do they then move into the overstay fee, $15 an hour?
That is correct.
Okay. And if, let's say they're in the overstay fee, $15 an hour, they stay a half hour over, are they charged a pro rata share with the $15? That would be what, $7.50?
That is correct. It is done at a 25-cent per minute rate.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. You've answered my question about the solar panel EVs having no cost to the city. And all right, I think those are all. Oh, yeah, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Johns.
Yeah, thank you very much for the study, and the presentation is very well done. It is my second time as well. There are no page numbers here, but Mayor Pro Tem, I'm kind of on your question about the lack of use of the facilities at the community center. I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know how to tell you what to look at. But there's two different things here. One's the average EV charging session length by time of day for each charging station. If you look at that, you can see that the ones at the community center are being used all day. It looks like they're, except for 3, 4 in the morning. There's very little use from 3 or 4 in the morning. So that's probably what you're looking at.
Okay.
Also, if you look at it, it's used less, but at the community center, we have a lot of classes. So they're only an hour long or so. So most of the sessions that they're staying there are 2 hours and 27 minutes, or hours, 2 hours and 27 minutes, an hour and 35. So to me, it's more likely these people are there for a session of some sort and then pulling off. So their time on it is less. That's what's showing there. There's also another graph, which was the next page.
I was reading it wrong. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
so it's not a zero usage. It's just at times there'll be zero usage. And then also the community center and the senior center, there's another graph that shows you the usage, and it's constant every day. There's nothing that's at a zero. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Any additional questions? Okay.
I just have one.
Yes, absolutely.
I was actually
Councilmember
wondering, what's the policy if somebody who does not have an electric vehicle parks in one of the EV charging stations in situations where there's just not enough parking and they're impatient or don't want to look for an open spot? So what's the policy when that happens?
This particular study did not evaluate behavior of non-EV owners parking in designated EV charging station spots, and the policy has not contemplated enforcement of that type of situation occurring.
I wasn't thinking about the policy or the study. I was just curious, practically speaking, if somebody were to, what would be the policy or what would be the procedure if somebody were to park, with a non-EV were to park in the EV station?
As the policy is currently written, there's no enforcement of that type of behavior.
Okay, that'd be very unfortunate, but thank you.
Okay, good question. Thank you for your very thorough presentation and your staff report. All my questions were answered. Councilmember Genoway asked one of mine, so thank you very much for everything. We will now open the public hearing to take comments. City Clerk Assistant, are there any requests to speak forms?
No, Mayor.
Great, thank you. We will now close our public hearing. Is there any further discussion by my colleagues? Councilmember Winstead.
Yeah, so I'm very happy that we have the EV charging stations. I think that the study that was done was very well thought out. I appreciate all the graphs. To Mayor Pro Tem Otto's concern about having the solar-powered portable EV charging station, interestingly, Table 2 shows that people actually prefer that one.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But it was nice to see that the study dispelled some of my preconceived notions regarding people's usage, that they're actually a lot better behaved than my perception was. So thank you for that. I also appreciate staff's recommendations, and I think that everything is very well thought out. I think it's very fair that there's the price comparison with the neighboring cities, that Metrolink station has some exceptions because it is a different circumstance. I appreciate policy recommendation number 7 about measured expansion of the EV charging stations as grant funding permits. I think that the Traffic and Transportation Commission did a really good job. I appreciate reading the minutes and their comments, particularly the comment of Vice Chair Cashin about potentially having charging stations at some of the parks. And I just think that it should be noted that this recommended policy was passed and recommended by the Traffic and Transportation Commission unanimously. So with that, I am in favor of this.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Otto, or Mayor Pro Tem Otto, apologies.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate this report. Thank you for answering all my questions. And I think this is going to be a great policy for our city. I think it makes sense for us to recoup some of these costs. I also liked Vice Chair Cashin's suggestions on putting it in the parks. I could see it at Chaparosa just getting used all the time for as an example. And so I support this policy. And I also wanted to note to my council members, I have to do this. Did you notice the cost per kilowatt difference between SDG&E and SCE? So most of the city is an SDG&E customer and pays a lot more, one of the highest electricity bills in the state. And that's why I would love to look at Orange County Power Authority and see if we can get 3 cents off on the SCE. They say they can give us 3 cents off on SCE, but I think this is incredible. But I support this policy, and I really appreciate your work on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councilmember Genoway.
Thank you very much. I'm in agreement with all of these recommendations. I think it's very well thought out, and thank you to Kimberly Horn for putting out this study for us and with best practices. I learned a lot reading it. There's a lot of information in there, and if any member of the public wants to know about the study that we've conducted over the last 13 months to get to this point, please go to our agenda on our city website, click on the link for this discussion item, and you will be amazed by the amount of information that we have accrued as to all of these vehicle chargers throughout the city. We did not pay to put up these vehicle chargers. We received grant funds from various entities to put up these vehicle chargers on city property as a benefit to our residents. And I think it's a worthy benefit to the residents to show up to one of our city properties, and if they happen to have an electric vehicle, they can charge their electric vehicle while enjoying or doing city business here at City Hall or any of our community centers. I'm a little cautious on the expansion of the chargers and the city managing those chargers, only because I do not want our city government becoming a middleman utility provider. I think we're not at that point yet with these. We are providing a service, and it's very important that I'll note that we are not profiting off of these charging stations, nor are we subsidizing people from charging their vehicle. Everybody has to pay for their own transportation means, and so if you want to use these chargers, you will now be paying a fee. They've been free over the last 13 months as we do this study to measure demand at these various locations. I suspect that a lot of the usage that we've seen over the last 13 months will probably decrease by a little bit now that people are not receiving a free charge or a free electricity in their vehicle. And so we'll see how that works. This will not be the last time we visit this policy. I anticipate that maybe in a year or so, this policy will come back. We'll see how it's going, how much it's costing the residents to use these chargers. We'll see if it's costing the city any additional costs that we did not anticipate. But I think this is a good first step towards making these charging stations usable and also for us to recover these costs. I did have one additional question that I forgot to ask at during the question stage. When we talk about the $2,000 costs, additional costs to maintain, do you think those will be covered by the penalty fees that we charge, the overstay fee, the dwell time fee? Will that be covered by those fees?
So all of our costs, right, the charging fees and all of the overstay or dwell time fees will go as one big pot. And yes, it is our expectation that between both the charging fee of the 25 cents per kilowatt hour along with those other fees, that it should adequately cover our maintenance costs.
Thank you. And one other question I have, when we talk about a measured expansion approach, how will this council be notified when we are seeking grants for these charging stations, when they're available? Because we're very good at getting those grants, so I know if they're out there, we're probably going to get them. Will this council be notified of the process of when we are applying for these grants, when we get these grants, where the potential new stations will go? Will we be involved in that process?
Yes, you're notified in many different ways. One, our strategic planning process, our budget process with the CIPs, because it's a CIP project, the regular updates that we provide to you along the way every week on different things that are going on here. So constant communication.
Great, and I know we're very good at that, and so I anticipate that we will continue communicating with our friends at the Public Works Department about these charging stations, because just to reiterate, as a general principle, I do not believe that government should be in the business of being in business. And I do not believe that we should be a middleman utility provider. And so I want to keep a tight leash on our involvement in these kinds of transactions. But the policy as written and as presented by staff, I think it's great, and I'm going to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments? Councilmember Johns.
Yeah, again, I just want to thank Public Works Director Jackie Scott and your staff, and Kimley and Horn for the very well put together the documents here that we are able to go through and easily read. I too am in favor of this. I too don't believe that we should be in the business of providing electricity for electric vehicles, but I think that it does serve a purpose. They're used here. Some people don't have access to them elsewhere, so it's great that we're providing that to those who can't get it. I'm very interested in seeing what it's going to be usage-wise once they have to pay for it. I don't expect it to be anywhere near the numbers we have at City Hall. I think that'll drop quite dramatically, but I will be very surprised. But again, thank you very much, and I appreciate everything you guys did.
Great, thank you. I just want to reiterate, fabulous job, great report. Thank you so much to Ms. Everett and Director Scott, and thank you so much to our consulting team. Fantastic job. So thank you. May I get a motion to move this item? Wonderful. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Excellent work. This concludes our public hearing items. We will now move on to City Council, City Manager, and Department reports. So City Council reports. Who would like to go first? Anybody? No? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Pro Tem Otto.
Sometimes when someone says Stephanie, I'm not sure in the same direction which one we're talking about. So we have to be sure. Okay, so I want to update the public a little bit on a meeting that I had with NG council member, and update the council too. Council member Johns and I attended a meeting with NG and Corliss Associates, which is the community outreach group that NG has retained. NG, of course, is the business that wants to put in the proposed battery energy storage system in San Juan Capistrano, in which the Laguna Niguel Ridge overlooks. We submitted a bunch of questions, and we are still waiting for answers to those questions. I also attended the community meeting on August 29th that the Homeowners Association president has put together to listen to what our residents, how our residents are concerned about this. I am currently working on with staff a meeting with Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara or his staff to see, because some of the concerns with this are fire safety and perceived fire risk and how that could affect homeowners insurance rates in our community. And so those are two really important points. I know that Orange County firefighters, Local 3631, went up and spoke to the governor's staff about this. I don't know how well that went, so we just need to keep on it. But these are some of the updates. But I think the main thing, that I want residents to know is that if you are opposed to this facility, the city is requesting and has a template letter on its website that will get sent to the California Energy Commission. I attended a homelessness roundtable that Supervisor Katrina Foley invited, I think it was Mayor Pro Tems too. The county is making steps toward doing some kind of inclement weather shelter, and they're putting out an RFP, and it's not a permanent shelter. It's like they're adopting different organizations to kind of put something up and break it down real quick just for a few days. So we'll see what that looks like here and how that works out. So it's interesting to hear that. Sorry, my computer screen just went blank. TCA just finalized its criteria for a habitat restoration fund. I've talked a little bit about this. TCA has a $28 million environmental fund, and we work with an environmental group who we reach consensus with to move forward on projects. And $8 million of that 28 million was peeled off for habitat restoration projects. And I know staff is kind of looking to see if there's anything we can do here in the cities, because cities can apply for funds before the end of the year, and it'll be a 60-day window. So we'll see if we can benefit somehow from that. That'd be great for our residents. I recently presented a certificate to Working Wardrobes at their Working Wardrobes Gala. We all met Bonnie earlier, and just to recognize their efforts. And as Bonnie said, we have the Hanger store here in Laguna Niguel, which I've bought a few things at, and it's a wonderful place to shop and support the nonprofit. I want to congratulate staff on Sea Country Festival. Director Harmon, you guys did a great job. I heard you and your whole staff did a great job, and everybody loved the new layout. And everybody is just, it's just such a positive, wonderful event for our city. And you really, upped the game and made a lot of big improvements that were really noted by the community. I mean, everybody said something. So, there was a few little comments from residents and just little things. And we've talked to you guys about that, and I know it'll be even more perfect next year. So we really appreciate all your work on that. Congratulations to resident, I hope I say his name right, Van Beek, who biked from Seattle to New York in support of veterans. His goal is to raise $25,000 for veterans, and you can help him on ride4warriors.com. So congratulations to you. He's a Laguna Niguel resident. I saw that in the paper, so I want to make sure I mentioned that. Yesterday, Cox Communications, together with the Angels baseball team, Los Angeles Angels, brought an angel to Laguna Niguel, to Hidden Hills Elementary, and the kids loved it. They were so excited. And they did a program, and they really sat down with some of the kids. They did a whole assembly with the school, and then they sat down with some of the kids, and I was able to attend that and just be a part of that great event for the kids. It's part of a program called Classroom Connections. I was also joined by Scott Alvey from the Chamber and school board members Amy Hanachek and Gilla Jones. I want to also recognize those individuals and the firefighters and law enforcement that helped we're still dealing with the airport fire. It's gotten a lot better out there, but I can't, go forward tonight without mentioning and appreciating law enforcement. And I think we sent some of our people out there. Law enforcement and firefighters work on that fire, and of course all the residents that suffered during that time. It was tough. And then finally, I have to mention that I'm as a member of Laguna Niguel Women's Club, I was proud, and also Councilmember Winstead as a member, was proud to have them here tonight. They're a great service organization, and they were actually just recently voted #1 nonprofit in Laguna Niguel. So I would encourage, if you're interested, it's a great group. And finally, I would like to say, because I wasn't here, congratulations to Stephanie Winstead, Kelly Jennings, and Jean Johns on coming back to council, being affirmed. It's not an election, I guess it's an appointment. We do this, it was, someone asked me I wasn't there because I had a trip, but I would have voted the same way because we want to save money on an election. It's the right thing to do. We're not going to just put a candidate on the ballot and pay for that. So I'm glad and just want to wish you all congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Winstead.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I needed to have a moment to get my notes together.
You are all good.
I don't have a lot, but kind of to follow along with our presentation and the Eagle Scout being honored earlier at the beginning of our council meeting. Just wanted to share that this past Saturday, I participated with Boy Scout Troops 700 who were here and 774 on the second Saturday cleanup event at the Niguel Botanical Preserve. So many scouts showed up. It's just really, it's a testament. It shows Laguna Niguel cares. And these are scouts who helped clean up the area, pull weeds. There's so many weeds that they pulled and bushes that got trimmed, and just the Trail to Eagle now looks beautiful. I really highly encourage everybody to go check out the Botanical Preserve, particularly check out Trail to Eagle. It looks great. The scouts did a great job. And also, this past September 8th, American Legion Auxiliary Unit 281 had an event. It was honoring Girl State recipients. And if you're not aware of what Girl State is, it's young ladies who are in the between their junior and senior year. They go to Sacramento for a week in June, and so they're chosen. They're essentially the elite of the school because they're chosen by the teachers and by the principals to attend this event. And there's only one young woman of every school, or of the participating high schools, that go spend a week in Sacramento, and they're with colleagues, they're with people from other schools throughout the state, and they spend a week there, and they come back learning more about civics than the majority of adults I know. But at this presentation, it was attended by the principals of the schools, our Capo USD superintendent, Dr. Christopher Brown, Supervisor Katrina Foley was there, Assemblywoman Lori Davies. They were also there. There were presentations, and I was honored to actually just be there and witness it and be in the presence of these wonderful young women who I just know are going to go and make the world a better place. So I love that this program exists. There's Girls State, there's Boys State, there's Girls and Boys State. If you don't know much about it, I encourage you to look into those and encourage young adults, teens, to participate. So thank you. With that, I close my comments.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Johns.
Thank you. Last week, earlier this week was 9/11. Being retired sorry about that. Being retired law enforcement, that means a lot to me. I was on the job at the time it happened. My wife and I, both law enforcement, we didn't see each other for a couple of weeks from that date forward to make sure that everything was stable here in California, both locally and federally. So I appreciate our law enforcement, and I take that opportunity to remember those that gave their lives that day, that ran into those buildings in New York, firefighters and law enforcement. And we lost some wonderful people. With that said, on September 10th, I attended the Molten Water tribute to the 9/11 people that gave their life. And then on 9/11, both Mayor Pro Tem and I went to, we started at 49, but ended up at 39 due to the airport fires and a call out. 49 was kind of closed up, but they had a remembrance for those who had given their lives. And it was a great little, very simple remembrance. It was just basically a couple of minutes of silence for all those who gave their lives. So again, I want to thank our firefighters and our law enforcement for everything you guys do every day. I know you're at the airport fire. I talked to law enforcement at the tribute that Molten Water put on, and most of our law enforcement from here were out protecting property from being stolen when people were being evacuated out of areas. And then our firefighters were up there fighting the airport fire, which I believe is about 30% contained right now. So that's a good news. I hope the weather stays the way it is so they can get the rest of that. I want to end with just saying that today starts the Constitutional Week, and that we are very privileged here in the United States to be able to recognize this day and recognize the values and history of that guiding document, which made it possible for all of us to have the freedoms that we have here in the United States. And I just want to take the time to remember that that Constitution that starts with "We the people of the United States," that preamble, that it says it all, and I truly believe in our Constitution. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Genoway.
All right, well, I'll keep this pretty short. First of all, Sea Country Festival, wow. It raised the bar in every facet of the festival. It was incredible. I know everybody had a great time. The community booths, we had over 60 community booths there. I really like how we expanded that down the other side of the road, and we made the stage for the concerts kind of the centerpiece near the beer garden. With all the rides. It was just incredible. Everybody had a great time, even down to one of our youngest citizens, my son. There was a point where I set him down on one of the green AstroTurfs, and by the way, the green AstroTurf was such a nice touch this year. I set him down, and for the first time, he crawled. And so we'll always have that memory that he took his first crawl at the Sea Country Festival. I think he was going toward the Ferris wheel. It's Constitution Day, as Councilmember Johns, as so many of us have noted. It's just incredible. It's just incredible that Constitution, a document born at a time when this nation was in crisis, that it was falling apart under the articles that did not allow this nation to operate as one. And our founders came together and created a document, not only creating a decentralized system of power, but a Bill of Rights that for the first time in, I think, human history actually restrained government, actually allowed for individual freedom. And we really cherish that here in Laguna Niguel, to the point where if you go into our courtyard right out here, there's about a 25-foot high wall with the preamble of the Constitution engraved in it. That's how proud we are at the history and the traditions and the future success of this country. Never perfect, always improving. And the flag of the United States is the emblem of our Constitution that represents the fact that we are a nation that is always working together to form a more perfect union. A few days ago was September 11th, and I had the honor of attending the memorial, the moment of silence at Fire Station number 5 here next to City Hall, along with Mayor Jennings and Councilmember Winstead. And we took some time and we spent some quality time with the firefighters at that station. And I know they were very tired because they had been fighting the airport fire. But we had a great quality conversation with them, and we went around and shared our stories about where we were on that day. I remember I was a sophomore at Aliso Niguel High School, and we'll never forget those moments. And with all the division in our country and in our politics, I'm reminded of that time during 9/11 when we were truly one nation, truly united, and that gives me hope. I just wanted to share that thought. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you very much. I think it bears repeating. The festival was amazing. Your vision, Director Harmon, wow, it was fantastic. And everyone had a smile on their face. All the volunteers, I've shared the story with you many times, but there were young men picking up trash, singing and dancing. Like, how better can it get? So thank you for your vision. Thank you to you and your team, and to Public Works and to Police Services for all you did to make such a successful weekend. It was fantastic. Great every day. Councilmember Johns and Assistant City Manager Martin and I attended the Mission Viejo Animal Services 30th anniversary. They also had a time capsule, so we had a little bag to put in the time capsule of our Laguna Niguel bear and our strategic plan pamphlet and all of the great things that the city does. And we presented a certificate as well. So that was fun to be a part of that. Our junior civic workshops have begun for the city. It's so fantastic last Tuesday. And we had the honor of Kevin O'Connor. He talked about the city seal and what the city does. And he did a fantastic job. I was so proud, beaming. You had the kids engaged the entire time. So thank you very much for stepping up and doing that. I really appreciate it. And a shout out to Trinity Rodman. She's from Laguna Niguel. She won a gold medal in soccer, women's soccer, the entire team did, at our Paris Olympics. So congratulations to our hometown winner. And to regarding the airport fire, thank you. My heartfelt thank you to police services and to the fire authority. My stepmom lives in Robinson Ranch, so we were extra concerned, and my stepmom and brother said that nobody could have been nicer, the fire authority and the police services, that they just really took good care of them. So thank you. That was very personal for me as well, and I know you guys are fighting so hard and working so hard, so thank you so very much. I do appreciate it very much. Thank you, and that concludes my comments. I will now move on to city manager and reports.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 reports this evening. The first is Community Development Director Orduña will give a brief update on the federal building auction.
Thank you, City Manager Letourneau. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. We're now on day 50 of Chet Watch. The bid currently sits at $160,800,000. The high bid was placed at approximately 10 a.m. this morning, and that bid needs to remain the high bid for 24 hours for the auction to end. So tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and we'll see what happens. And that concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last report this evening is our Police Services Quarterly Report by Chief Flores.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor Jennings, City Council, city staff, and members of the Laguna Niguel community. Tonight, I'll be presenting the Laguna Niguel Police Services Summer Report, which will include our latest response to community concerns, public safety education, community engagement highlights, recent resource allocation, and staff recognition. First, let's start off with our newly minted sworn e-bike patrol team composed of Deputies Wilson and Labella. Preparation for this team required a 40-hour standard bike patrol course certified by the California Commission on Peace Officers Standards and Training, or POST. Deputies also attended an 8-hour post-certified e-bike course. We are excited to see them active on the roads and trails of Laguna Niguel to address various community issues. Speaking of community issues, we have heard the community's concerns regarding e-bikes, and we are listening. As you can see here, in addition to our ongoing safety and education efforts, we are also taking enforcement action whenever possible. We appreciate everyone's patience with this ongoing community concern. Rest assured, we are doing our best to address it. As part of the ongoing education efforts I mentioned earlier, deputies visited a recent Rotary Club meeting and presented on e-bike safety and enforcement. Deputies and members of our PAC volunteer bike patrol team also attended Niguel Hills Middle School registration to speak with students and parents regarding various e-bike related topics. Some other recent public education and safety events included a meet and greet at the Parks and Recreation Summer Kids Camp, crime prevention safety training with the On Target Better Half Club, and attendance at the Laguna Niguel Active Transportation Plan Walk and Talk. Recent public safety resource allocations of significance include the 2024 4th of July celebration events and the 2024 Sea Country Festival. Throughout each of these events, police services work closely with the city and city staff to ensure each occasion had a smooth and consistent public safety presence. Recent training of note included a collaboration between police services and members of the Laguna Niguel Community Development Team. Attendees received general security and scenario-based training to foster continued safety in the workplace. Police Services is proud to support city staff and their exemplary service to the community. Police Services also participated in a joint operations briefing with members of both the Orange County Sheriff's Department and the Orange County Fire Authority. The purpose of this briefing was to ensure a prepared and cohesive response to the upcoming and now very real Southern California fire season. Summer is always an exciting and busy season for the city, and 2024 has been no different. This year, Police Services attended or assisted with numerous community events such as the Summer Concert Series, the annual Amtrak event, Puppies and Puppuccinos, and the OC Parks Regional Movies in the Park events. We also hosted a DUI safety checkpoint, presented at various neighborhood watch events, and conducted numerous CPTED, or crime prevention through environmental design assessments for various city businesses and residents. I'm also excited, though unsurprised, to have a lot of personnel recognition to share this evening. Starting off with the Veterans of Foreign Wars Law Enforcement Award. Each year, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, or VFW, selects public servants from various disciplines to recognize for their dedication to the community. This year, the VFW selected former Laguna Niguel deputy Alexander Santo for his exemplary service. Deputy Santo was awarded the VFW Orange County Deputy of the Year Award and the VFW State of California District Award. Congratulations to Deputy Santo. I would also like to recognize Sergeant Jason Howell for recently graduating from the Sherman Block Supervisory Leadership Institute. This program, also referred to as SLI, is an 8-month post-certified course for law enforcement sergeants that is intended to provide a forum for personal growth and the further development of qualities required for effective public safety leadership. Congratulations to Sergeant Howell. And last but not least, thank you to Assemblywoman Lori Davies, who recently recognized public safety and first responders from Southern California's 74th District. As always, thank you for allowing me to serve. This concludes my presentation.
That concludes our reports this evening, Mayor.
Great, thank you so much. You guys are busy in the city. Thank you very much for all you do. This evening, we adjourn the meeting in memory of former resident, community supporter, and volunteer, founding charter member of the Laguna Niguel Chamber Board and 2025 Citizen of the Year, Betty Paquette. Betty recently passed away peacefully at the age of 97, surrounded by her daughters. We are now adjourned at 8:54. Thank you. Have a nice evening.